contact technology's come a very long way compared to before when I like dry as shit eyes and I'm just like constantly pulling at like my eyes and like my contacts. I don't have to do that nearly as much anymore with how more breathable they've gotten and how much better like the cleaning solution technology stuff has come to.
That's a good point. Yeah, because that was one of the reasons I switched to glasses, because I was like, man, every time I'm not wearing my glasses, I'm looking forward to when I'm taking out my contacts and putting them on. So I was like, at this point, I was like, I probably should just not wear contacts because it's bothering me. So, it wasn't terrible, but it was like, you just had that dry, itchy, irritated feeling all the time.
Oh yeah, just on your eye. You just kind of get used to it. I'm like constantly like popping my eyelids to like try and get like some moisture
to try to like stimulate some extra like almost trying to like irritate your eyes so that it starts watering just so that you can like get your contact to relax a little.
Tough days.
Like, this is not the way I want to live. Yeah. Everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nollery.
Hey, folks.
And it's just the two of us tonight. I feel like it's been a little while since we've had a little duo episode. We've been on a good streak here. With, we've had to move our schedule around a little, but we've been able to keep things going. And I will say with we were talking a little bit before getting rolling here. Both of our schedules have been pretty hectic, pretty busy lately. Yeah. So we've been kind of chipping away at some of the stuff that we've been playing, but getting some multiplayer sessions in as well and some various things. So I don't know. We're going to just kind of talk about some of the stuff, maybe slightly more save it for the cast style than some of our normal episodes. But yeah, I know, Randall, you've been chipping away at some of the other modes in Resident Evil 4. I guess we'll just keep this streak going with opening up the episodes here with some Resi action.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's the fifth time that I've brought Resident Evil 4 remake up on this podcast.
It's at least the fourth,
at least the fourth,
for sure.
Yeah,
but maybe fifth for sure.
It's been many times.
And that says a lot, because usually like it's there's, and not that we're playing so many games, but I mean it's usually there's. You're just kind of like, okay, I'm ready to talk about the next thing. But like, when a game kind of lingers this long for any of us, I feel like I probably bounce around the most out of any of us, but I do feel like we all tend to be people that like to play a handful of games and have a few things in rotation. At least,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm almost never playing one thing, and even still now I'm not, but like this has been a mainstay, and of course, like that old the next gen console quick resume stuff certainly helps the cause a lot. Just to be hey, both NBA 2K, of course, but then also Resident Evil 4 are just sitting there on quick resume. I press the button, and within easily like I don't know 5-6 seconds tops. I'm back in playing.
Right back in the exact spot I was in before,
Right. And it's just, man, that does a lot to adjust your behaviors on what you're doing, especially like, bouncing around, busy with other things, but it's just, you make it that easy for me. Well, that's, and then like NBA 2K, I've played so much Resident Evil 4 Remake that it's such second nature, the controls in my hands, and now...
Yeah.
Just recently bought a Samsung 65-inch OLED TV, so it's like even a little bit bigger TV than I had before. So like it's just a little bit more like responsive. The input lag's just a little bit better, and just being able to see a little bit more means like, oh my God, I feel like I'm even better at these things than I was before, and that's a nice feedback loop, right?
And some of those new TVs really, I feel like, because a lot of times those, especially in like horror games, where like there's an opening thing where it's like set the darkness level or the gamma level, and I'm like, if I set it to where you tell me to where I can barely see that logo, I can barely see the fucking game. Like I literally can't see anything in the game.
But
like I feel like on those new TVs, you can see that depth of field, like that HD, I don't know if it's the HDR or whatever, but that depth of like the blacks or the darker colors.
It's pure
really
black.
Like you can actually see stuff, it's like I don't know, it really does shine in that feature specifically, whether it's movies or games. But
you're not wrong. Like and the modern OLED TVs with HDR, you're getting like perfect contrast. You can get like the blackest black next to white or other like really, vibrant colors, and it just pops. so much more. And yeah, you don't have to worry. There is no concern about like, can you see the logo black? They still put that in the front of the screen when you start the game.
Yeah.
I'm just like, nope, default settings fine. It's cool.
Yep.
Let's just go.
Yep.
And it's always perfect, for that purpose. It's perfectly calibrated. So very lucky that way. Waited a while to get a TV that didn't show green yellows as greens. Kind of suffered through that for a number of years because I'm like, no, we bought this other TV. I'm going to use it. Damn it.
And with how fast they like upgrade the technology, you're always like, do I want to buy a TV now? Because either this TV I'm buying now is going to be like $500 cheaper in 6 months, or they're going to have a TV that's twice as good for the same price.
The new features. Yes.
Yeah,
like, like this TV that's got like the HDMI 2.1 technology where like it's got this variable refresh rate, and the refresh rates are now like 120 frames per second or above, on some of these games, which is nuts, right? Yeah. Like the smooth animation stuff. Anyway, Resident Evil 4 remake again. All that to say, like, I've gotten so good at playing this game, and it's bigger, and it's because it's so focused on like shoot the guy in the leg or shoot him in the head, and like that causes different actions and going into your melee attacks. I've gotten so good at that combat loop. There's this other mode called the Mercenaries, and this is not new to like this version of the game. There's been Mercenaries mode in several games of the recent Resident Evils. I want to say there's at least like 4 or 5 of the games that have this, right?
Okay, yeah. I was wondering where that like mode kind of started too, because the game that I always associate the Mercenaries mode with is Gears of War. For whatever reason, I remember playing that mode with some friends, but just or maybe it was called Horde mode or something like that. But just like taking down waves of enemies. But part of me thinks it did kind of start with Resident Evil 4 for some reason. Maybe not start, but
yep. Yeah, it's this says the first thing I googled says apparently is introduced in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis was the first one. So like we'll see about. I don't know if that's actually accurate or not, but I didn't play a lot of Resident Evil 3. Although they did remake that as well, so maybe I'll go back and do that at some point.
Yeah,
but it's like an arcade horde mode, kind of. Gears of War is not a horribly bad comparison point where it's like throw the story out of here, like this is just about dumb, like here's a bunch of enemies for you to wail on, kill in waves, and there's the combo multiplier that's kind of pushing you forward to find more, to run into the hordes of enemies to like increase your point totals, because ultimately it's an arcade mode at heart. You're trying to get the best score,
like high score chaser.
Yes, you're high score chasing in a time frame. I think you start with like a minute, and it's just like the timer's right there at the top of the screen counting down. You can select one of like a bunch of different characters that you saw within the Resident Evil 4 campaigns. You've got the standard Leon and Ada, but you've also got some of the side characters like Luis and Wesker, and a lot of characters that were in some of these other Resident Evil games too. And ones that are like, I don't know if they made them specifically for this mode or not, but ones I didn't even recognize from this story, but they all have different abilities. And they've all got like special moves too that you can unlock if your combo goes long enough. There's kind of a meter that builds up where you can do a special move, like one of the characters I was just playing as earlier to kind of get myself back up to speed with the mode before we talked about it today. Luis, who is kind of another character in Resident Evil that you're not sure if you can trust him or not, but he kind of helps you at certain points, and then he kind of skedaddles off. His special, when you build it up, is he drops like a whole chunk of dynamite down once you hit that special button. And then like obviously Resident Evil 4 is all about like enemies are always trying to like horde on top of you. So you drop a dynamite right in the middle of that. They're not that fast enough to get away from it. And then boom, there goes like 7 enemies at the same time. And, you keep your combo going, you get a huge score bonus, and you might be building up meter to do it again. And, often with the special moves, you can do them more than once before the special meter runs out. you can also find yellow orbs around these levels. And the levels so far, I've unlocked 4 of them, but they're just basically kind of modified versions of 4 of the distinct sections of Resident Evil 4's campaign, which is cool because I know that pretty well too. But you in each character you select when you start a level, you can play through that in Mercenaries, and then you get a rank at the end, S being the best, down to, I think the worst I've gotten so far is C or D.
Okay.
But yeah, the yellow orbs give you the special move bar immediately. Green orb increases your time limit if you can find them.
I was just going to say, is that time? Because 60 seconds, I was kind of surprised that seems kind of like a short timer, but yeah, if you're able to kind of like rejuice that, or do you like gain time from like getting kills or anything like that?
So no? I think you get like, I want to say you get 5 seconds per like standard enemy kill.
Okay.
And then as like you progress and you're like lasting long enough and killing enough enemies and the timer keeps going, some of the more kind of special enemies like some of the chainsaw guys that are like real sons of bitches to take out will start coming through, and you know, those guys will give you more point reward obviously for killing them, but it's not easy to do, and it's very easy for you to be preoccupied with characters coming through a couple other areas, up a ladder if you're on a roof, and then one's jumping over from a different building, and there's chainsaw guy, he just came up behind you, and there goes your head.
Yeah, or you try to take chainsaw guy down for too long, and then there's 15-20 seconds, and now even though I got the kill, like now I'm out of time. So
and literally when I was playing earlier, that's what happened, is I ran out of time as I was trying to like lay dynamite to kill a whole horde, including chainsaw guy. Like, shoot, if I had like 1 or 2 more seconds, that would have gone off, and I would have been, I would have bought myself at least like 15 seconds to keep the streak going, right? So that's addictive in its own way, that loop.
Definitely.
And then, when I played as Luis before on that first level, I was just kind of messing around and I got a C, and now this time, because I came back after playing so many times with so many other characters across these other levels, I got S. Like, oh, sweet, that's awesome.
Oh, heck yeah.
And then, you do that enough time with enough characters. I've gotten a couple of character unlocks that way. I think even when you start the Mercenaries mode, you only start with like the first village level, which is like the first main area of Resident Evil 4, which is not an easy area. That on-ramp is pretty severe when you first are playing the game. But yeah, it's been really rewarding. I'm kind of surprised that I hadn't tried a Mercenaries mode in one of these games before, because I like it quite a bit.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. Like, I was actually picturing it more like survive for as long as you can kind of mode, which I know it kind of is in one way, shape, or form, but that extra incentive to like rush out and get the kills to get more time, or even just search for those like green orbs to get more time.
Yeah.
Like, that just incentivizing you to be aggressive, because I do feel like a lot of times those games were like, those survival modes can be fun for a while, but then when it's like, okay, now that I'm good at this game, it takes like 20 minutes or 15 minutes just for this to ramp up to get to the difficulty where it's even fun or challenging, or whatever you're getting out of it.
Right.
And then it's like, the balance just throws itself off once you get good enough at the game. So this seems like the better you get at the game, you can just push harder at the enemies and just shoot for an even higher score to keep that combo going or whatever.
Yes.
So I'm assuming it's like a combo meter that like ticks down as like if you're not able to get another kill or do damage or whatever.
And it does. Yeah, it'll start flashing. Yeah. Like, you're losing your combo. Like, you're going to go back to 0 unless you find another enemy to shoot pretty quickly.
Yeah, and then you're making choices like, do I go for that health or do I go for the kill? Do I need more time? I love that risk reward just like built in with that 60-second timer. It's like putting you under the gun right up front.
It makes you the horror villain ultimately, because you're the one doing like the slaughtering. It does. It like you said, it makes you so aggressive compared to like the regular campaign where you're trying to be a little bit more conservative, and you're kind of sneaking around and trying to get stealth kills, and you're trying to like make sure you don't use too much of your health, because there's probably a boss that's going to come up that's going to be a real jerk.
Or too much ammo or something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, there's ammo dropping everywhere from most enemies that die are going to drop some sort of like at least a handgun ammo or something, right? So it's like they're just saying, no, here, like we're going to take every barrier out of your way to make sure that you can like kill as much as you can within this time frame for maximum point value. And then there's a leaderboard, you know, that's either like friends leaderboard or just overall online leaderboard. So there's even that if you get like really into it. Yeah, you know. So I'm probably just going to try to get S rank on, you know, every character and level that I've unlocked. And stuff.
Yeah. Dang, that's going ham too. Like with every character, that's like Mario Tennis status. Like let's get the star ranking with every character.
Yes, that's where I'm at with it. And I'm probably going to do that until I do that. And there's still 2 characters out of the 8 slots that I haven't unlocked, so I'm kind of curious to figure. And although like one of the unlocks even that I got from doing some of the mercenaries was a gun that I can use if I played the campaign again. So I'm like, shoot, like, so there's even that crossover appeal, that
little extra incentive that like, if you unlock some cool stuff, that might incentivize you to then play through the campaign again. So
yep,
that's pretty cool. Do you know if you can play the Mercenaries mode multiplayer, or is it strictly a single player mode?
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Because when you were talking about that, I know I've mentioned before when you've talked about Resident Evil, any of the versions that me and my buddy, my old roommate Steve, we played Resident Evil 6 together through that. And I do vaguely remember playing some kind of mode where you would like, we were like having to be aggressive and kill enemies to like get more time. And just trying to keep that timer going. I have a vague recollection of that. So I'm pretty sure, like you said, they've kept that going throughout the series. So
it looks like in this remake of 4, it's single player only, at least based on what I'm seeing so far.
Which makes sense, because I know the campaign of Resident Evil 6 was kind of built around being a co-op campaign.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This one, obviously 4 is not so much. So
which is too bad, because it would still be a blast that way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm always a sucker for that risk-reward gameplay and that high-score chasing. So put it together. And it's kind of cool that they're able to like kind of do that with the same gameplay elements, obviously twisted a little bit with new characters with different abilities or whatever outside of what's available in the main game, but like essentially taking the same gameplay but making it a totally different feel and flavor.
It is cool. Big time. Like one final example, and then I'll stop talking about this game, was like one of the characters, and I think his name is like Hunk or something like that, but like he's not in the main game, but his big ability is like his special is his ability to basically break people's necks from behind, which, on single, like individual enemies, it's like, well, this kind of takes too long. Like compared to the time it's taking to do this animation, like I could shoot these guys. But if you get like Chainsaw Guy dazed, or like the huge horse-faced guy with a hammer that's gonna like beat the crap out of you, you could still like one hit kill those guys if you stun them and do that. So this, like, the levels of risk reward, like you have to be close enough to them to go up and like crack their necks from behind after you've stunned them, but like you're also close enough to get yourself sawed in half if you make a misstep. So it's just like there's so many different like layers and flavors to that. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to snag this remake at some point once I get one of these next-gen consoles. I know I've said that, but now I'm pretty much sold, even if I only get into that Mercenaries mode. Like,
that's fun.
That might be enough just for me. Yeah.
It's very fun.
Yeah. Well, I guess, onto a totally different flavor of a video game here. Yeah. Or I guess maybe not totally. I don't know. It's a wild game. But Randall and I have both still been playing some Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Oh, yeah.
This week, I know you haven't had quite as much time as I have to chip away at this one. As of last time, I think when I recorded our last Save It for the Cast intro to that episode, I think I had just cleared and seen the credits roll in the game. And then I've played a little bit more since then and kind of like gone through and combed through for some extra secrets. One of the nice things that they do at the end of the game is like, now any like level that you might have missed is now like a question mark on like when you look at like the list of levels. So like, okay, I missed something in this world. It doesn't flag it. Like that's one thing that I actually think could be improved upon a little bit, and I think that's been the case even in the like new Super Mario Brothers U. And like as much as I actually love the world map in this game, like I absolutely, it might be one of my favorite parts of this game. It's just kind of exploring. Like it just really really adds to the sense of like adventure in the game. Of
it's its own like gameplay element.
Yeah. And it's not like it's so interactive or anything, but there's all these little extra hidden tubes around and like extra levels that like I thought I explored like in World, I think it's 2 or 3, like the desert.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a bigger, more expansive. And I was like, I felt like I was like, oh, this looks kind of like there's going to be some secrets here. So I really combed through that area and I was like, okay, I found everything here. And then like later on cleared some worlds that said when I cleared something, it was like, oh, you found all the flower coins in this world. So it gave me some kind of bonus for that or whatever. So I was like, well, clearly I didn't do that in the other world or any of the worlds before this. So I must have missed some stuff. And like there were on that world, I think there were 2 or 3 like just straight up levels that I missed in the game.
Or just in the sand. Yeah.
Yeah. That are just like buried out there, but even more like kind of hidden ones. And then there's even extra hidden like ones that you'll find that'll lead to like a special world, kind of Super Mario World style.
Oh man.
I haven't actually played any of those stages yet. And I'm kind of torn. Like as much as I love the game, I definitely had a blast front to back, have no real, well, I guess I have plenty of gripes about it and plenty of things to praise about the game too. But I will say for like the first time in a long time, I'm not feeling overly compelled to like 100% the game. I'm like kind of like as much as I kind of want to, I could see myself wanting to go back if I were playing multiplayer per se. Cause I'm just like, I don't know, something about replaying these levels and having to like trigger the events. Cause I actually ended up looking up, cause I know we talked about it a little bit, like how the game feels kind of inspired by the Donkey Kong Country Returns or Tropical Freeze games.
Yeah.
I actually like playing through some of these levels again and like, or since last time we talked, I guess. I ended up looking it up because I was like, is this game the reason why Metroid Prime 4 has been delayed? Like, did Retro Studios actually work on this game?
Right.
Because there's so many moments.
Yeah.
There's so many moments where I was like, oh my God, this just feels like exactly like the pacing, the visuals, the way the music syncs up with just everything about it. But to the best I can tell, they didn't have any hand in it, but they definitely had some inspiration for sure.
Oh, for sure.
And for all I know, I mean, maybe there's definitely some team members that have, moved to, shifted their role. I have no idea. Yeah. But the one thing that I will say that kind of feels a little different, like in Donkey Kong Country in those games, like the characters feel a lot weightier. So all those times where you're having to like kind of stop and go and trigger events and wait for them to kind of happen feels a little more natural. It's still a little stop and go-y, but it's a little bit more noticeable in Mario Wonder for me because I'm typically just wanting to hold down run and run to the right or left or whichever way I'm going on that level. Yep. And like a lot of times I'm running into those little like blue flower pods that are spawning an event to happen, and I'm running too fast for it to happen. Like you're kind of there right as they're triggering, and you're like not able to really react to them in a way. And I'm just like missing that reactive feeling that I get from usually playing a Mario game where I'm able to just really, even the first time I play a level, I can just kind of wing it. And maybe I'm not going to find every secret, but I'm still going to like feel like I'm just like ripping through it like a master Mario player. Where this, like, I almost feel like I'm forcing myself to not play the way I want to because I got to kind of wait for things to trigger and whatnot, but at the same time, like I'm loving all the different secrets, and but that's where I feel like playing multiplayer would be a lot more fun because you'd be like discovering the secrets together and being like, oh, let's go back and get that last purple coin. But where I'm like,
and the pace is naturally a little slower that way, right? Because you're waiting
for one another,
for two players to kind of do their own exploration along the way, so you're not just zooming through the same way you might if you're a single player. And I will say, I think we might have even touched on this before, is like some of those like badge specific special levels are very much, I think, that style that you're describing gameplay where you're just like smoking through the level, and it's kind of meant to be just kind of ran through, where like just those like precision jumped through, wall jumped through, whatever it might be. Like it's very difficult to do that multiplayer. Like you can tell it was not designed around that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Because anytime when things get a little too precision-y. Yeah. But I was actually, when I was reading a little bit about it after I tried to look up if Retro had worked on the game at all. Yeah. I was reading that like apparently the inspiration for the game was to try to recapture that element of like surprise and secrets from the old games, I guess, is really what they were looking for. And then they just ended up like really letting them run with the development time and like, hey, because I guess Mario U, Super Mario Brothers U, I think came out in like 2012. I think they said
2012.
So like, it's been over 10 years since the last like proper 2D Mario game, entry in the series. So they really did. I think they said there were like 2,000 ideas on the table, and then they went with the best ones. And that's, again, like a couple things. Like there are a few of the like Wonder Flower ideas that they revisit throughout the game as you progress. But even with some of those that they revisit, I'm like, man, there's a whole game on the table here with this like concept. Like one of them was like, I think we might have talked about this last time too. You turned into like this jelly blob Mario that like sticks to either the wall or the ceiling or whatever in the gameplay. You're just kind of moving to the right or left, and that's either forward or backward, essentially, or clockwise, counterclockwise. You're kind of going around these round platforms or whatever. And there's some later stages where they introduce that again, or they bring it back, I guess I should say. And like it really starts to click a little more now that you're getting more used to the controls. And it was almost like a bummer because I'm like, man, that's such a cool like they could have just made a whole separate non-Mario game of this concept,
or just do a Luigi U of that, right? And it's just like
right.
$20 or $30.
And Luigi's like
experience.
Some blob, like in the slime and form. And you gotta rescue him or something.
Yes,
or get out of the pipes or something. But yeah, one thing that's making the game a little bit more fun now as well is like I got a new badge that's like a radar badge. I might have said this last time too, but it's like now pings when I'm near any secret. I think I did talk about this, so it does help a little bit.
Time for this sort of game,
especially when I'm like now going through and just trying to like go through and comb and find all the extra coins that I missed, because I definitely did not through like I usually do in like in any platformer, but definitely with a 2D Mario game. I'm usually like, I will not move on to the next level until I found all 3 hidden coins and whatever, done virtually everything. But because of the way the overworld map is on this, like it does have its world 1, world 2, world 3, but the stages within those worlds, it isn't really broken up like, world 1-1, 1-2. It's just kind of like, here's a level with a name. Here's, there's to a degree, you kind of have to unlock some of them in an order where like you can't get to this certain area of the map
without
but, like,
a number of wonder seeds or whatever. Yeah. Or purple coins to, fix the bridge or
pay
whatever.
Off a toad or something. Yeah. I always think that's so funny. Like, I can't fix this bridge unless somebody would just pay me. I'm just like, what are these magic flower coins or something?
Come on.
But yeah, even like, all the little, I think we mentioned last time too, the little like throwbacks to like Captain Toad and the overworld map, and you're like finding all these little hidden secrets. But I'm really looking forward to like playing some of the special world levels, seeing what those are like. Because some of the, like you said, some of the badge challenges get a little bit challenging.
Oh, yeah.
And I still like, again, too, another badge I think I mentioned last time too, that like vine piranha plant that's like almost like a grappling hook.
Yeah.
Like that's one where I'm like, that's another whole like game in and of itself. I would happily play like Mario's piranha plant wall climb or something.
I like the swimming levels too, but I always do. Like there's and I think that is kind of magical that they leave more to be desired on a lot of these like one-off concepts, though, that like
that's true. That is true.
Much effort into these and they feel so good, but you're like, nah, we're gonna leave you wanting more of those. And they're just gonna be the little switch up pitches we throw out there. And and like you said, the non-linear levels kind of add to that too, where it's not just this, there's this, and then you can expect it to get harder and a little bit harder, and maybe we'll throw you one new power up. It's like, no, here's a different experience. Here's an easier experience after you had that really difficult experience,
Yeah. The mix up of level difficulty is really nice. Like once you get towards the later worlds, it definitely, there are some tougher ones, but there were still some like 2-star rated.
Oh, exactly.
Difficulty levels.
I'm on the level one, or the lava level, or lava world, or whatever. I don't know the names of them, but like,
I think it's the magma bog, which I thought was kind of a cool. I was like, that has like a cool ring to it instead of just like lava or volcano or whatever. Like it was like, even though once I got there, I was like, okay, it's basically a lava land, but it felt like it had a different flavor to it.
Oh, it did. Yeah,
and to be fair, all the other worlds up to that point, I felt like had a really unique flavor to it. I shouldn't say really unique, but unique enough. It wasn't just like grassland, Iceland, desert. Like they had like an extra layer of it. I don't know.
It did.
I said that last time too, but
Yeah, and it's just like, but yeah, the 2-star ones in there are like, oh shoot, this is an easy level. Like, look, it's only 2 stars. By that point, I'm like, that bakes in. You've already made it this far. It's you're not getting 1 stars as the easy ones anymore. 2 and 3 stars are going to be the comparatively easier levels, or you can at least complete them. Even in a multiplayer context, where sometimes that, like I said, that could be easier. Sometimes that can be a little bit more difficult depending on what they're asking you to do in a given section.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree and that's one thing. Like, because there's even like some of those levels, like those search party levels. Like I haven't actually cleared up a lot of those because I'm just like I can't find everything. And those are levels that I also think would be a little more fun multiplayer.
Yes,
those are like where they are kind of expecting you to run around and kind of like jump
just
around,
poke around,
look for hidden blocks, look for whatever. And that's where it kind of feels like it's channeling some of that like original Mario energy, even like lost levels a little bit, but not as annoying and tedious because hey, this is a search party level. I know I'm looking for stuff. And then when they do have those random hidden blocks, like in just weird spots, it's like just a 1-up or something. It's not like you need to trigger this stair step of invisible blocks to get over this wall. Yeah, exactly.
It's not meant for progression. It's
not
just
necessary
the whimsy of it all. It's just the fun of exploration and like, and that makes me think of. And I noticed it pretty early. I'm like, oh, that's a change. There's no time limit on a level. There's no time counting down. You can just go at whatever pace you want. You don't have to speed through it. Yep. And that's been very cool for multiplayer as well. There's no
such a good point for multiplayer specifically. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, and that one thing we didn't talk about. I think we talked about obviously Elephant Mario and Drill Mario last time, but I don't think we really talked about the bubble.
We did not
power up all
not
that
very
much.
much.
And I probably for reason on my end at least, it's a little bit underwhelming. It is fun to kind of throw them and like bounce off them and use them as like a springboard and whatnot, but it is
to like go through walls if like enemies are stuck like within walls or like on the other side of something. That's
or to
often
like trigger
the utility
something.
I got. Yeah.
But it is, for some reason, it's like a little unsatisfying to just like hit an enemy with one of those and then they just like turn into a coin in a bubble. Like it's just like something I wish they popped and just popped or something. Just something about the way it happens just feels very unsatisfying.
It does. It feels a little flat.
That's not the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, it does feel a little flat that they just turn into coins. And it also feels a little flat that they, unlike Bubble Bobble, I can't just infinitely bounce on these bubbles to like, use them to like really jank my way up to like a higher vertical plane or something,
Yeah, like that's trap an enemy in a bubble and then use it to your advantage, like make the bubble more sturdy somehow or something.
Yeah,
like,
but maybe you just need to like get good because like you can bounce on the bubbles and you can throw a crap ton of bubbles out at the same time. So I don't know.
Yeah, and you can do that spin jump too, like off the ground. You can do a pretty freaking high jump too and shoot a bubble out on each side or a fireball if you're Fire Mario. But that's one thing that actually when I've been playing, I didn't really use it much during the like my regular playthrough because I'm really not using any of the badges. Like I think I said last time, like I used that cape badge is the one I had equipped, but I pretty much never used it.
I never
kind of like have it like parachute.
We moved on from that one very early. Like we did not use that cape hat badge much at all.
I just left it equipped because I was like, I'm really not using any of my badges. And then once I got that radar badge, I was like, okay, that actually, because that's another thing is like some of the badges, like I feel like they would really throw off, like they have like this mega like speed boost badge that like on the level that you play it on, like it gives you like coyote time like you would not believe. Like you can run off the platform by like 15 feet and then still jump. And it kind of shows you like a little guideline where you're supposed to jump or the coin trails kind of show you how you're supposed to work that. But then if you were to equip that badge in a regular level, like I was already complaining about how fast you're going even when you don't have that badge equipped and like the way you trigger things and whatnot. It just seems like it would be a little bit busted, a little bit broken with some of the badges and the way it works. But at the same time, I feel like that does lend itself more to that like chaotic multiplayer, like let's just have fun, explore. I don't know. I mostly have just been thinking a lot about like I don't see myself going to 100% this game, but I would see like if me and you were playing this side by side together, I'd be like, let's get all these purple coins.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, for sure.
But like myself, I'm not feeling overly motivated. I'm more just like, I just want to see all the levels. I want to clear them. Maybe I'll do it someday, but it just seems like so much extra effort. And I definitely don't think I'm going to 100% it because I know they like even keep track of like getting the top of each goal post on each level, and it's like, am I really gonna make that happen on the ones that I miss? Am I really gonna replay that full level just to get that goal post at the end for all of them?
No,
because the only game I ever did that for was on Super Mario 3D World, because you had the cat suit, and if you had that cat suit equipped, you could literally just climb up the pole. So anyone I didn't get it on, I would just like stockpile those bells and just like, okay, let me just use it when I get to the end of the level and climb up. So you could kind of cheese it. This one, although I will say that's some of the most fun level design in the game, is like just those, like the different ways they have you like do different jump challenges or whatever to get to the top of the flagpole. And again, throughout the whole game, I've still been just absolutely blown away by like just one fresh idea after another. And I'm talking totally outside of the Wonder Flowers, like just the new enemies introduced one after another.
Yeah, lots of different enemies.
After another. And again, just that like using like Super Mario 3 and World as kind of the DNA.
Love it.
Instead of Mario Brothers.
It's been
I just feel like goes such a long way making this game a bigger feeling experience. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but
totally agreed. And yeah, like badge wise, I'd say we end up more with like the wall jump badges, or like the high jump, kind of like it almost kind of feels like a Luigi jump in Super Mario Brothers 2 type of jump, you know, like those we've leaned on more than, or like the ones that give you more coins just so we can just load up a crap ton of lives if we were just on a level where we just got like beat down pretty good. Like we'd flip between those, but otherwise, I echo all those points. I just love, like, it's so fascinating to see all the variants in enemies and ideas. When, I mean, the new Super Mario Brothers series, it was good, you know, did a good job, but I wouldn't say it had so many new ideas compared to what this one game is doing, you know, this way. So, like, Super Mario Wonder. It's good stuff.
It's definitely jam-packed, and I will say, too, replaying some of these levels, I know I said last time that I was kind of curious how some of the levels would play if you just kind of avoided the Wonder Flowers, and because in a lot of the cases I've just been trying to get, like, the second or third purple coin on a stage or whatever, I've been just ripping through them and skipping over that flower sometimes, and they still feel great. They still feel, actually, in some cases, like have a more natural flow than it did when I got the flowers. So even though that added a cool twist, like it's been cool to watch how that game comes together.
Yes. Choose your own adventure that way. Like you can do the trippy flowers or not after you've found them once, you know. That's cool. Yeah. It
definitely seems like if you're, I don't know. Yeah. I'd be curious just to see what like the speed running situation looks like for people that are just looking to rip through levels as fast as they can.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm definitely looking forward to playing this one. It's one that I kind of feel like I might just leave on the back burner once I feel like I've had my fill, and then wait for a chance where I have some opportunity. And I keep forgetting that it's got online play, so maybe we can even just sync up online and play. So
no, that would be cool. I would like to try that out.
Secrets, yeah.
And it is. It's like you've said before with like Donkey Kong Country games, you don't have to 100% it. You could be like, I'm leaving that purple coin there for the time that I come back to this in a couple years' time or whatever, and there's my incentive to still have a fresh experience, right? That's okay too.
Exactly. Or even just, hey, that part of the game's not compelling to me, and I'm just not going to engage with it.
That's fine
too. If the rest of it's fun,
you saw the credits.
Yeah, and actually, I will say I won't spoil anything about it, but the credit sequence was really cool, like a really fun, just experience, and like I just like how big the game feels. I don't know how else to explain it. Like every world has like so many levels. Like again, like that formula of just like 8 worlds with 8 levels in it is just thrown out the window. I know every level isn't like a full blown level, but I think like the first or second world, I think, where I was counting up like how many stages were in some of them.
Yeah.
And I think there was like 12 levels plus badge levels. And then some of the later ones only had like 7 stages. So it's like, it's that mixed bag. Like you never know what you're getting. Like you're going to a new zone and it's kind of mysterious, as opposed to like, again, in the old ones, it's just like, there's a little bit of exploration going on, but you kind of know, okay, every world has X amount of stages and one ghost house and, you know, one mini castle. You kind of just know the formula.
Yes.
Where this game kind of kicked that formula to the curb a little bit.
There's a bigger conversation to be had about how Nintendo in general has been more willing to kick the convention to the curb on a lot of their franchises lately, and that's been to great effect, I would say. Mario and Zelda come immediately to mind, and even in some other ones too, there's just been streamlining and saying like, what makes this good or fun, or like what's some other things we can try without losing the heart of what Mario is, in this instance. And I think that was a guiding principle, and it worked quite well.
I think so too, and I think another big thing too is I think on their last two consoles, whether it was the Wii or the Wii U or even the 3DS, there was always like kind of that gimmick to the hardware baked in that they were like in a lot of cases using really well. Otherwise. Like and they used it really well in almost every case, but like this time they were like kind of forced to be like, we need to make an inventive Mario or Zelda or whatever game without those gimmicks in it. Like maybe there's motion controls in the game or whatever, but like that's not new or fresh at this point,
Correct.
So we got to just like come up with cool inventive gameplay ideas, because nothing hardware wise we're not impressing anybody, other than the fact that they're happy they can play these games on the go,
right? And there's been enough ports of those older games, of those more traditional experiences and those franchises, that you could still play on this platform. So a new thing has to be more inventive creatively without the gimmicks, I guess.
And without totally abandoning what made the series or the whatever, what's great about it in the first place, which is cool. They really captured that with wonder, I feel. So
agreed.
Yeah. Well, I know before we wrap it up too, we've all been doing a little bit, or we've both been doing a little multiplayer gaming here and there. Or I guess I don't know if you've been doing the Strikers multiplayer, but I know that's been the main thing. Is it you and Tina mostly been playing? Or
we have, and it was Tina's like, what about that Mario Strikers? We should pull that back out. I'm like, you know what? Yes, we should, because I liked that game then. I know we kind of had differing opinions of that when it came out last year, and I will fully admit, then and now, it's not the most fully featured package, Mario Strikers Battle League.
Even still, because they've added a little bit since last time we talked about it, right? Because I think we just talked about it kind of right around the time it came out. Yeah,
you've gotten some new characters added in. I think like Bowser Jr. and Pauline, and I might be forgetting like one or two that also got added since then.
Okay.
Plus, they've got like the club gear that you can unlock, which basically like lets you modify the character's stats to say, I want them to be faster, but maybe their passing ability is less, and you have those trade-offs. So I think they added some more of that gear too, and each character you can, have that kind of whatever, like specified custom gear version of, but it costs these coins. You earn the coins by winning the cups. So there's these like tournaments, basically. Each cup that you can win is kind of like a mini bracketed tournament. So that's what Tina and I focused on. Is like, oh shoot, like we had played this, but we'd only played like the first 4 cups. And you know, there was still 1 or 2 of these like harder cups that were available. Now that we've got, again, this bigger TV, oh, shoot. And Tina's like, I can see these things now.
That's a good looking game, too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It looks great. I think it plays great. I know it's not exactly the same as, Strikers on GameCube, which is, the gold standard. But to me, and now I'm used to how this plays. I like it a lot. And there's some new items and stuff like that. And I like the customization you could do with your team, where it's not just one character and a bunch of toads. It's, let me pick all 4 of my characters on my team, right? And Bowser's on the back end because he's the bruiser, but he's not going to be as fast. But, he can cross the midfield and do the special shot or whatever, which is fun. But yeah, all that to say, we've had a handful of sessions lately. We just kind of kept coming back to it and built up that kind of feel of the gameplay again, to the point where we won after losing once or twice on those harder cups, because we weren't able to just, I guess we could have started with an easy one again, but I'm like, we already beat this.
You got to pick up where you left off. Yeah.
So we got back in the groove, and they're like, oh, yep, beat that cup. And like, they give you a couple of tries where like, even if you lose once, you get 2 hearts to start, and you lose a heart by losing a match, but then that just puts you in the quote-unquote losers bracket. But you could still win out and have the opportunity to be in the final and beat the champ if you like do it twice or whatever. So
Okay.
There's a way to still kind of win the cup by losing once. So we did that, and we beat those 2 last harder cups. It actually unlocked a whole nother series of like expert cups, and we tried one of those, and like we held our own, but it was even harder to like score goals, and it was like, oh yeah, we might have to keep on this if we're going to try to beat that. But like the coin rewards are even higher if you wanted to buy more gear with more coins, so that's kind of cool. There's more there, so yeah. It's good. It's
definitely like the fact that I've seen you fired up a few times, and actually my buddies back home that I play Mario Kart with from time to time. I know they, my one buddy and his brother fired up from time to time,
nice.
Strikers that is, and like still play it here and there. So I'm like, as much as like, I miss that like pick up and play arcadiness of the original. Like it does, because like that's such a bummer. Like when you pick up one of these new sports games or Nintendo sports games, and like it just doesn't grab you.
Yes,
because like when I grabbed Mario Tennis Aces, like I know people had mixed reactions on that game, but as far as like just the gameplay in and of itself, I had a blast with that.
Same.
So like I didn't feel like, I feel like, hey, I bought a video game and I had a blast with it. Where like Strikers, I bought it, and especially with the love I have for the first game in the series. Yeah. And it did look pretty promising from what they had showed. I was like, oh, it looks like they kind of corrected course from what I didn't like about the Wii version.
Yep, and it's still next level games and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm definitely tempted to fire this one back up because on my multiplayer end, I've mostly just been doing some Mario Kart. We've been gearing up for like that last batch of DLC tracks that they're planning on adding at the end of the year. I think they said like holiday or whatever.
Yes.
And actually, I think adding some new characters as well, like Diddy Kong and Funky Kong are getting added in, and a couple other characters as well. I think Pauline.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm pretty pumped to check that out. I know my buddies and I are like, there's going to be 96 courses, so we're like already like trying to schedule a day where we're all going to like obviously take some breaks in between, but go do it like Tour de France style or whatever.
96
or Le Mans
courses
or whatever.
Is just unbelievable.
It's wild. Like the quality of this game, like the package that is on display here. Like I kind of wish they just wouldn't stop. Again, I wish this was just like the Mario Kart, forever or whatever.
I legitimately don't know what the next
tracks.
step even would look like at this point. Like, where do you go from here on the next Switch if you release? Not if Mario Kart sold a gajillion copies for them. There will be
it's going to keep
Mario
going.
Kart.
But it's like, how can you release something new that doesn't contain all of this? Because like,
right.
Yeah, just the fact that and I know too, it's kind of funny because when the first like couple waves of like those DLC tracks came out, I remember people like, oh, these look, they don't look as good, the level of detail, and like to me, it feels like they've just gotten better and better and better.
They have
with each one, both in the level of like the tracks that they've picked and the tweaks that they've made to like the old tracks that to make them new. To give them a fresh spin or whatever. Like, I don't know.
They've been better than some of the bass tracks, like, and consistently.
Agreed.
Which is really something.
Even some of those like Super Nintendo or Game Boy Advance ones
they're good.
Up being some of my favorite tracks because they're like a little more straightforward, but like with just enough little twist to them.
But they've been reimagined. They're almost using those games' original levels as like a theme to base these new levels on, right?
To like make a new level with
it. And it's
like
awesome.
A general layout. Yeah.
It's so
much fun. So much fun. Such a great looking game, especially like when we play it at my friends a lot. Like mostly we play at my buddy Vince's, and he's got like a pretty big projector that we play on.
Nice.
Although a lot of times a lot of us are playing handheld at the same time while we all link up. But
which is cool too.
I'm definitely looking forward to this like last batch of tracks, and just cool to see like Nintendo continue to support a game for so freaking long.
Gosh.
I mean, this is a game that came out on the Wii U.
Yes.
And they have just continued. Obviously, it's not like you got it for free if you had the Wii U version on Switch or whatever, but they've still continued to like support it and see the potential and like, hey, even though this was an old game, like we can milk some more mileage out of this if we just make some more tracks,
Oh, I mean, the base product there in Mario Kart 8 was so good anyway. I didn't. That was a scenario where I did not complain about buying, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, even though I had Mario Kart 8. I had bought all the DLC that was on that Wii U version, and of course, I'm never going to play that version again because of this version. But it's okay because this package has been so incredible.
Yeah, they definitely poured some love into this thing, and especially the fact that they include it with the expansion pass, like all the DLC stuff. They easily could could milk more money out of that if they wanted to, and people would pay for it.
That's easily.
Would as many people have
value.
access to it? Of course not, but like,
right.
They definitely would have sold more copies of it without a doubt. So,
yep, no, that's been a core value of the expansion pass.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's
has been that stuff.
Yeah, between that and then obviously the Game Boy Advance and the Genesis and the 64 stuff, like those things combined, it's like no brainer. Yeah.
Yep. Man, I'm psyched. I'm sure we'll talk about that DLC when it comes out. It's sad that it's the last one.
I know it's a little bittersweet. It's definitely going to be a little bittersweet.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know, but I'm definitely looking forward to combing through a little more Mario Wonder. Trying to, like I said, I don't know if I'm 100% it, but I definitely want to try to at least get some more purple coins and see if I can clear some more of that stuff. And yeah, looking forward to doing some Mario Kart marathoning soon. But I don't know. Any more video game stuff on your end, Randall, before we wrap it up tonight? Or
no, I think that's it. I'm probably going to play more Wonder. I'm definitely going to see Wonder through.
You got to be getting close, right? If you're in the magma bog, have you been going in order? Or have you been jumping around a lot?
I think we've mostly been going in order. We've jumped around a little bit when the opportunities kind of presented itself. It's kind of cool where you can do that pause menu and you can kind of see like the levels and it shows you just at a glance like, oh, you're missing like one Wonder seed or whatever and one purple coin from this level or that level, and like, oh, okay, we missed a lot in this early area comparatively. We've done a little bit of that, but mostly we've just kind of been pushing forward more or less in order, so we'll probably keep doing that.
That's what's been cool about the game too, is like I said, I usually kind of tend to like get hung up on like I want to find everything, where this game has just kind of kept pushing me forward and just like I'll go back for the goodies later,
Exactly.
Even if I don't go back for them, who cares? I still had fun playing through the game. I don't need 100% everything to have a good time. So
bingo.
Exactly. Yeah. Although Mario, I just tend to be like that. I just need to. Again, I'm not going to 100%, but at least like the main stages and the coins, I'm just like those are challenging and fun to get. So I want to get them. So
it's just the excuse to do it again.
Exactly. But yeah, I guess we'll leave it there on the video games chit chat and whatnot for this week. And I know I think John and I are planning on recording a duo episode next week or sometime soon. So we'll have a little bit of a mixed schedule with the holidays coming up around, but I'm sure we'll have plenty of video games to talk about and whatnot. I know I still got to get my resolution game in, Anodyne 2, which I think John and I might even try to fire up sometime soon here.
Love to hear about that.
I'm dying to play that game. So
no doubt.
Not too bad because I could have played it for the last 10 months or 11 months. But anyways,
that wouldn't be the ritual of this podcast.
Exactly. I gotta keep it on tradition for sure. But yeah, on that note, I think we can wrap things up there for this week. And yeah, as always, you can find us on the internet at pursuingpixels.com and virtually anywhere else on the internet. Just look up Pursuing Pixels. And until next week, we will catch you then, and take care, and we'll see you then.
Bye-bye.
I feel like I added a little extra line there. We'll see you then. I feel like that was how I hang up on my appointments or by when I'm like talking to people. Take care. We got that rescheduled for whenever, and we'll see you then.
See you then. That's nice. It's a little friendly sign off there.
Works. Like you better be there. I'm expecting you.
I'll be there, so you better be there.
Heck yeah. But no, that was a fun one. Oh
yeah, it seemed like we certainly. I think we probably hit our time marks in there pretty decently. I just kept blabbing about Resident Evil because that's just what happens. So